afternoon, everyone, people that are in attendance and people that are viewing. I don't believe I see any city councilors on Zoom or anyone that is present as of yet. Media, Adam Frenier is here. He's on Zoom from New England Public Media. Thank you, Adam, and I hope you're hitting them well too. And also joined by my staff here, my CAFO, Kathy Bono, Chris Frazier, Budget Director, Deputy CAFO, Lindsay Hackett, and the cabinet heads and department heads for second day of budget hearings and clerk, Dada Soyola, super sharp outfit once again, GQ on that, and my comptroller here, Steve Lonergan, is going to be doing a fireside chat. Good on it. So we need a little levity during the budget session. I want to thank Focus Springfield for be able to coordinate this. Have changed budget hearing schedules will be later in the day to try to accommodate. Come on in, Finance Chair Tim Allen is here. City Councilor Tim Allen, who's always been very faithful attending the public hearing sessions to accommodate city councilors and the public so they can view this as we put our budget together. So at this point in time, I will do my normal opening remarks and then turn it over to CAFO Kathy Bono and Finance Chair Tim Allen for some opening remarks and Chief of Staff Bill Baker, and then we'll go into comptrollers, which will be Steve Lonergan, and then we have Sandy Powell, who does treasurers. So with that, first of all, I want to thank the finance team, the award-winning finance team, for the excellent job they have done under the leadership of CAFO Kathy Bono, award-winning, and our goal again is to try to balance this budget without the use of reserves. We've been able to do that for 10 consecutive years, which is unheard of in an urban setting. We're spending what we're taking in, and we've been able to move the city forward. Proud to say we continue to have the highest bond ratings in the city's history. We continue to build schools, new schools and rehab schools to the tune of $1 billion, which is the most in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and then work due to our financial stability and strength and working with the city council and great working relationship we have with the MSBA. I have tasked cabinet heads and department heads with coming across with a budget that continues services for our residents and our business community, but I've also asked them to come across with a 3% budget cut, trying to stay with the cuts in OTPS other than personal services and or vacant unfilled positions. The reasoning why is that the uncertainty of the ever-changing sands on the federal government level. You know, we proud that we've been able to build about a $71 million account in our reserves, all on the city side, You have to realize the budget this year is going to be nearing $1 billion. 671 million is on the school side, 2/3 of that, which with the ed reform of 93, I really can't, we can't touch that money. So ours is going to probably be a little bit south of $400 million. Now, when you look on the federal level, which seems to be changing not only daily, but hourly, and I understand there's a new sheriff in town, and we always look for efficiency and effectiveness. And if there's any waste or fraud, obviously you want to get rid of that. But there is a surgical way to do that, not the way it's being done right now with a sledgehammer. The reasoning why is I was with Governor Healy last night again, and in speaking with her, the state obtains $16 billion from federal funding. If they were to lose that federal funding, as she indicated, and Speaker Ron Mariano, the cavalry is not coming. So that state money will not trickle down to the city. Right now, unrestricted governmental aid, I think we get about 47 million, which is maybe about $1 million up, but then with net school spending, it's, we're sort of in the hole to start that. The city receives $55 million in federal funding on direct services. The schools receive $75 million on direct services. Title I being the biggest appropriation, $26 million, and that goes directly to educational programs. If we were to lose that funding, and again, CDBG is a lifeline to urban mayors, HUD, housing, you have the youth development, business development, housing development, homelessness, health and human services, elder affairs. So we have to be cognizant of that. So our goal will continue to be to try to balance this budget for the 11th consecutive year without the use of reserves. But we're going to see what happens, and we want to be fair again to our businesses and our residents when it comes to the residential tax rate and the commercial tax rate moving forward. So, with that, we have to prepare for the worst, and we hope for the best on it. We've been through this before, but I'm hoping that we do get a little more bit of continuity and predictability coming from the federal level. I was with a business group last night, and that's what they want. They want continuity and predictability so they can move forward investments of the businesses. Right now, they're not getting it with tariffs on the table, et cetera, which again trickles down and affects the city of Springfield's budget. But I'm proud. And the last thing I'll say is that I did ask cabinet heads and department heads, if I could, what would be one wish list thing if we could do it to benefit the residents and the business community of the city of Springfield. So we had a successful hearing, budget hearings yesterday, and I know that'll continue for the, hopefully we can wrap them up all this week. At that point in time, CAFO, Kathy Bono and I, once the budget is done, we'll announce what the budget buys, and then we will turn it over to the city council for their due diligence. They'll call their hearings and review. And hopefully we continue to work together to pass a good and strong budget. And I do appreciate, yesterday we had Councilor Zeta Govana from Ward 8, Councilor Victor Davila was on Ward 6. Again, Finance Chair, City Councilor Tim Allen's been very faithful all the years I do budget hearings. He's here normally 90% of the time. Yeah, appreciate that. With that, let me turn it over to CAFO Kathy Bono, then I'll go with the Finance Chair, City Councilor Tim Allen for some opening remarks. Kathy, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor said, we've asked for a level service budget, and we've done some conservative revenue estimates. And at this point right now, we have a $24 million gap in our budget. We have not taken the 3% cuts that the departments, we've asked the departments to do, and then the departments have submitted because the mayor wants to see how that will affect city services before we go through and decide what cuts we're going to take. So at this point, we're just trying to talk to each of the department heads and figure out what that 3% would do. And then we will try to whittle down that $24 million number.
Thank you, Kathy. And this is really where the meat and potatoes, nuts and bolts occurs. So that's why I appreciate as many city councilors that can avail themselves to these budget hearings, because you can really get down to the nitty gritty and find out, if cuts are made. My major thing is, how does it affect services to our residents and business community? The narrative is very, very important to me. I'll turn it over to City Councilor Chair, longtime Chair of Finance, Tim Allen, for some opening remarks. Councilor Allen, Tim.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, hi, everybody. Thanks for showing up for this. This is an important part of the process of starting to understand the budget and getting ready for, for whatever we need to vote on the budget eventually by the end of June. One of the problems with the council is that it's hard for us to all get the same information at the same time, and schedules and different committee, different responsibilities. So I think, I'm not sure what we'll do. I've talked to Kathy about it, how we can do even a better job than we've done in the past about the information that's here, getting it to the people that can't come to this. And so whether we have finance committee meetings on it, on the budget or whatever, you just never get everybody at the same time. And we're all concerned about the budget. I mean, we've taken a lot of flack about the taxes. Last year, not quite as much as the year before. The year before was a devastating meeting with people crying at the microphone in the council chamber, literally. And so we're pretty serious about it. I've talked to Kathy about it. I'll probably get a little closer to it this year than I have. And I hope that we can get a way to get the council to be closer to it as well. And that doesn't mean they don't try. We're all trying, but no matter the mayor, I appreciate the mayor being more flexible with the timing of these meetings. I know there were 2 or 3 people here yesterday. I don't know how many people are coming. Is there anybody online?
No.
No.
So I'm expecting to be here tonight, these 3 days, tonight, today, tomorrow, and Friday. And then we can talk about how information that came out here, we can get it to other people.
It's being recorded, so.
Yeah.
And the mayor did put in the letter to the council that they can go back and watch it. So we're encouraging all the council members, as I had before, to either attend in person on Zoom or watch the meetings afterwards so that they can get a better understanding.
Okay, good. That's good. But anyway, appreciate the invitation and the fact that you do these meetings, and be here as much as I can.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. Thank you, Tim. Just to let you know, we had with the assessors yesterday, we have done and worked with the council a myriad of tax relief programs too, on it. So we reiterated that on the taping also to all the residents of what's available to them on it. Besides Adam Frenier of New England Public Media, Jeanette DeForge is faithfully here from the Republican. Thank you, Jeanette. We appreciate that. Billy, you have any comments at all? No. Okay, we're gonna start out with the comptrollers, or excuse me, comptrollers. And that is Steve Lonergan, thank you, and Sandy Powell is here from Treasury.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Controller's Department, as you know, they prepared the timely and accurate financial statements for the city. We work closely with the outside auditors, do single audits as well as the annual audit each year with the for the state. We received recently, last year, we received the award for excellence in budgeting or financial reporting, sorry. Stole your thunder there from that. I like it all. But the excellence in financial reporting for the ACPRA, which we issue every year, we submit for every year. I believe this is the 12th year in a row that they were able to accomplish that. We successfully completed our year end in July of 24, about 11 days after the fiscal year ended, which is good and it's accurate and quick. We submitted Schedule A on time, which is November 29th, and we certified free cash beginning of November, which allowed the mayor and the city council working together to contribute another $3 million towards the tax relief that we were mentioning before. Our budget this year is bare bones. We did level service as we could. Roster wise, we have a vacancy from FY25 into FY26 that we've accounted for now, so we're down 1 FTE. And on the OTPS, as I said, we're bare bones. We do level service. If we were to do a 3% cut, would come out of seminars, which would affect the amount we could train people. There'd be less people. Instead of everybody, it might be 1 or 2 that couldn't go to get training. But we would compensate for that by getting the materials and the printouts and bring it back with us, whoever went to the person that couldn't go. And so we were able to absorb the cut if we need to.
No effect, no direct, maybe indirect to the residents and business community. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but you know, behind the scenes, backroom things that have to get done, so you'd be able to abide by that.
We'd be able to keep the things.
Okay.
Well,
No, Kathy, you have any questions? Finance Chair, Council Reynolds?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So Steve, the one person, I'm looking at the chart here. Are you saying you're going forward with that reduction of one, or you're
We're going
trying to?
forward. We have funding in place for 6 FTEs down from 7. So yeah, for this thing. So we're not looking to fill it.
Just piggybacking on Council Reynolds' question, you'll still be able to provide the customer service to the residents and business community.
Right now, my staff and controllers are excellent and they divvy up that work and
Appreciate
all them to be able to get it done in time.
Appreciate that. Billy, any question? Okay, good. All right, Steve, you're off the hook. We'll go to treasurer collector Sandy, and thank you, Sandy, for stepping up. Appreciate you and your team's efforts.
Thank you. So the treasurer's department is mainly in charge of effectively collecting and investing all revenues from the city to make sure we have ample cash available to administer all programs and fund payroll. The other main aspect of the treasurer's department is the tax title program, which currently we're under a whole new legislation with the tax title program. So we're slowly taking all the new information in and developing new policies and procedures for that.
That has, I have to say, the tax title, because of the treasury's department, has gone down tremendously because we're collecting taxes at a much higher clip than many years ago, where when they had the tax title list, it used to be six. I remember before it used to be like 6 of them a year on it. So that's a testament to the treasurer and collector. So thank you on that.
Just some of the highlights with the interest rates. We're actually doing a lot better than we anticipated. We were anticipating larger drops within the last couple of months, and they've dropped about a point since September, but they're still around 4.5. So we're trying to maintain that with all the local banks, and we make monthly calls to inquire about interest rates so we can move money appropriately based on whose money markets have the best rates for us. And we continue to do that, and we'll do that using satisfying the requirements of safety, liquidity, and yield, which is priority number 1 in the treasurer's department. In regards to our FTEs, we actually have an increase this year going into FY26 because we're revamping the tax title program, as I mentioned, and we've taken in someone from the Office of Housing, the senior program manager over there, who handles with the post foreclosure properties, managing the property management of that part of it, the tax title program.
We're still doing, and this is where council president, Attorney Mike Fenn and Tim Allen and I, we all work together. We're still investing doing the treasury bonds, the T-bills.
Yes.
Which those revenues go directly immediately as a foundation start for tax relief on the overall rates that we set commercial residents. And I think we're still doing pretty good on that.
Yes, we just re-upped it for another 1-year term based on our financial advisor because of the turmoil in the economy right now. So we're anticipating, have that number? Do you have that? 1.9, thank you.
So it's a
Right around
I was like, I know.
we want to be right off the bat,
Yes.
and it's a quick
Yeah.
turnover. We've been able to do that for with Steve at a 12-month segment or a 9-month segment, and that's because of financial stability and strength. And we put it right back for tax relief. Good.
So that started, excuse me. That was 2 million originally or something. Is that what you're
We've done
saying?
2 years.
No, we've been 2 years in.
And the bond yield started to dip when the last one renewed, but we got it in time to get it, we
remember
expect
that.
a yield of about
Remember that.
1.9. So it's slightly less, but still roughly the 2 million.
And just that new position, it isn't actually a new position in the city. The person was paid half-time in community
Half-time,
development,
yeah.
half-time in code enforcement. So it was already a half-time general fund. It just made more sense with the revamping of tax title and everything that's going on that we have that person in the tax treasurer's collector's office and working full-time.
And level service we are at for our OTPS. And the only 3% cut would affect the tax title program. That would be the bulk of where it would be, which could mean properties aren't being kept up as much as they are currently if we have a cut to our property management budget. Which could then lead to more dumping and more issues at some of our vacant lots. But we managed it pretty well in the last 2 years, and I think we can continue to do that. The volume of properties is obviously dropping because of the tax title legislation and the hold at land court right now with foreclosures being released because land court is disputing the 8%
Yeah.
rule for the tax titles. They're unsure whether it's supposed to be retro or it's just proactive as of the November 1st legislation.
Yeah, that, and, I know, with the legislation, the ramifications, especially in an urban center, is that you have properties that have been neglected for years, abandoned, or fire ravaged or in distressed shape. People who are keeping up their homes have to live next to that. Payments haven't been made in years. I know they're talking about what equity is left, but a lot of these properties have languished for years after the treasurer's department has always worked with individuals on payment plans. And some have followed through, some have reneged, have not followed through, and it leaves us no choice. So hopefully we can get some clarification, but that's what I wanted to know about street. How would it affect the street services? So
Mayor,
we'll have to, the tax title will have to look, because we want to make sure that the properties that we do have are managed properly.
the other thing with the tax title equity law, because frankly, no one's really comfortable with it yet. It could change tomorrow and suddenly it's clear, and then you have a rush coming out of land court and all the costs associated with that.
Right, and that's,
So it's hard to budget for that.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make sure you have enough money. And so I don't have to come and ask Kathy for more money.
Oh, he's already made it clear a million times. I may be coming.
Yeah.
As soon as it changes or really
Look,
release something, I'll be in your
I'll do that
office.
one,
I'm
but
like, Great.
But you want to make sure that you have enough to at least stem the flow a little bit.
Yeah.
The rush that'll be in takings, all, putting the liens on the property, all that will be affected once land court says this is what we're doing.
and again, we would explain, present to the city council, I think they would understand, that affects neighborhoods on it. Just to let you know, Tim, too, that the question came up to Councilor DeVilla yesterday on the, flex squad, the ordinance squad, the tickets now, we can elaborate, we can fully lean on properties now with the tickets.
The new
now with the
system
police
that
department.
is being implemented, OpenGov, is gonna be working with building and code
So
for
Kathy, we'll have
permits
to keep
and also
an eye on
code
that.
enforcement tickets to be able to
So you
lean
do
on
that.
properties in which the database from that
I know I-
generates into munis, so treasurers collectors can pull that to put a lien.
People are responsible.
Police ordinance can now do the same
If
thing.
it's us, we gotta clear.
They're gonna use the same portal, this OpenGov. And it'll self-populate to munis do the same thing as long as the ordinance tickets are associated to the parcel, not the individual.
Is this the system that replaced the
Except
system that everybody was crazy about 10 years ago?
Sell us, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a cell is not gone and.
Yep, Excel is phasing out, so we anticipate this to go live in the summer.
With those tickets, but the online permitting should go live.
Yeah, this next month probably.
Yep.
Building code.
Yeah, for Commissioner Desolate, yeah.
Police is probably gonna take a little longer to get
Yeah.
them up to speed, to
Yeah.
get them properly trained on the back end and stuff.
I'd like to learn a little bit more about that, but not here.
Okay.
I would like, I do have a
Thank you,
question.
Tim. No, go ahead with your question, but thank you on the other thing.
It's only too late, bro.
Property management, fee or something you
The
said.
property management.
Would you explain what your function is there? What your department does and?
Well, we have a vendor, Whitman Properties, who manages all of the city's foreclosed properties.
Okay.
Vacant lots and residences, and they go out, they They mow the lawn twice a month during the growing season. They maintain the driveways and the sidewalks in the winter. They take care of the properties to the best that they can. We don't go in and remodel properties or anything like that. We just maintain them as best we can when we take possession of them.
And you're saying that that is, you were saying in the budget that that's at the level that it needs to be at, or?
It currently is, we managed through this fiscal year and we anticipate to be able to do the same with next year, but we don't know the volume that could come out of the new legislation and how many more properties we would then have to maintain.
Do you know approximately how many you're maintaining now?
Currently, we have 311 parcels that are city owned. Out of that, we maintain about 38 of them.
Which is down big.
The foreclosure account number is
It used
much
to be in the,
larger,
used to be in the
smaller.
hundreds years ago. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. Treasurer Powell, Sandy, anything else more? Or?
The additional, the wish list.
Yeah.
item, we would like, if possible, we have payroll records going back to
Oh, yeah.
the fifties, and if we could get those, and they're downstairs, upstairs, Tapley Street, they're
Yeah.
kind of all over the place, so if we could somehow get those electronically scanned, it would help reduce time spent locating them and doing all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we do have to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
Okay.
be our wish list.
Do you have any estimate of the cost of that, or you would?
I do upstairs.
I knew you would, Steve.
I actually have a quote from a company in Holyoke, and I also in prior lives, the dark periods we call it. I worked with someone who, it was King something was company, and they liked what they did, so I'll reach out to them and find out.
I didn't say reach out and get more quotes yet.
You asked me.
Now
Oh,
you-
whoa, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Now you know the reason why I call her Dr. No. And that's not from the James Bond movie either, okay? But no, we'll, CFO Bono, yeah, we need to look at that.
Yeah, we do.
Well, on a personal note, I spend a lot of time paying my bills in person.
I do
I
too.
Appreciate
I'm
that.
old school, I think.
I'm old school, I
in
go, I
person.
want the receipt, the
Yes.
whole thing.
I'm the same way, Tom. I'm the same way. Treasurer Powell, anything else at all?
Not for
Right.
treasurers,
And again, I
no.
appreciate you stepping up as I do with you, Steve, too, very much so. Kathy, any questions?
No. I'm good.
Counselor Helen, any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Billy, any questions? Okay. Very good. Good job. You two are off the hook.
Thank you.
You're all set, fireside chat.
I can go put another log on.
Have that look.
Thank you.
He gets the drink better.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Sandy. Okay, next on the, I'm gonna call out of order, City Solicitor Attorney, Steve Bonacani. Yeah. They got plenty of work in the law department, so I'd like to call up our city solicitor, Steve Bonacani, and, get his update and overview of the department. And then we'll go back to the regular, schedule. Thank you, Solicitor Bonacani, for, all your efforts, your legal acumen and, common sense, which we really appreciate.
Well, thank you and good afternoon, Mayor, Councilor Allen.
Yes, Steve.
This is my first full race, so forgive me if I do something inappropriate or say something.
Just, Steve,
Said
just,
one lawyer.
I'll hold you back.
just think that Kathy's like a judge, okay? Yeah.
So Mayor, the proposed budget, for this year, would be a request for approximately $4,488,207. Would be the request with the reductions, with 3% reduction. Out of that, Mayor, most of that is personnel driven. And so, our department has 32.5 full-time, positions. The recommendation is to at least decrease that by at least a half of a position, if not more, to reach that 3% And one of those positions would be a paralegal, and then a reduction in salary for one of the other posted positions. I'm gonna go off the script a little bit here, Mayor, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
And we have currently, in theory, from FY25 to what's being proposed for 26, we have 10 vacant positions in the law department. Yes. We have filled one position, we posted and filled another position that's filling really almost in between a paralegal and an attorney in the office. That's a legal specialist position. So we're really almost down 9 positions in theory from the previous year. And so I'm going to be mindful about the hiring process, but I will need to do some rigorous recruitment on behalf of the law department for those full-time positions. And so in addition to the staffing for the full-time or the part-time positions, Mayor, we have our professional services account. And again, as a reminder, the professional services account are for positions that we need to hire outside legal counsel for, either based on a conflict issue inside the city of Springfield or and staffing, or if it requires a certain legal expertise that perhaps we don't have in-house, or if we are just inundated and we need additional help in making sure that we respond properly to any lawsuits that are filed. So that is a sliding scale that I'm trying to, as I sit here, continue to try to get my arms around. I, of course, would always love to have more people in-house that will be managing cases, but that just isn't the reality. And so we'll continue to try to be flexible with whom we hire. We were able recently to hire a retired Judge McDonough.
Yeah.
He'll be one of the professional service staff members that are new and that we think he'll be a great acquisition for the
Yes.
city.
Great addition. Very well respected.
Eddie McDonough.
Eddie McDonough.
He just retired from the Superior Court bench.
We're able to get him.
And we think that he'll be a great addition, especially for our, there's a prohibition of 6 months for him to be able to appear in front of Superior Court, so we can handle federal court cases right away. And so we're already starting to assign him federal court matters. So virtually everything else, Mayor, would remain either flat, level funded or any reduction. The other thing to note, is that, through this year, and there's just some slight adjustments in the numbers, is that the public records division that used to be housed on the second floor with our general legal services division is now been moved up to licensing. So public records and licensing is now being overseen by Deputy Solicitor Alicia Days, and they're all in one spot. And so far, so good there. And we continue to properly, I want to give credit to a lot of my staff, and Heather Duffy was here as well. They do a great job day in, day out, caring about the department. And that's what I'm trying to get more and more of, is staffing that really takes great amount of pride in the work that they do, cares about the city of Springfield in their bones like their mayor. And so far, so good. I think we're meeting the needs of the city. And we're trying to do that as fiscally prudently as we can.
Solicitor Bonacounty, I appreciate that. And we're going to continue taking account. This is corporate counsel and corporate counsel to nearly a $1 billion corporation here. And I know you're continuing to, staff up, whether it's attorneys or paralegals or other support systems. So we'll take that in effect, because again, in essence, it is corporate counsel. I'm so happy and elated that we were able to get Ed McDonough. Tremendous that he'd be willing to come on board for us, and his legal acumen and his common sense will pay dividends for us when we have to go to court, especially whether it's federal or back to Superior Court once this prohibition is done. Your wish list is that, I know many a times, and I appreciate the council Alan. Sometimes we have to go outside for counsel on specific, specialized cases. That's what you'd be looking for on that, or some operational type stuff.
It would be, Mayor, and I know that that can tend to be more costly long term, but, just meeting the demand of the department. Suits aren't going away.
No.
Just drive up and down 91 or 291 and see the billboards, and you can see that there's the litigation is still a robust industry in Massachusetts and in the nation. So, so having additional staffing that provides us that cover. I do want to say this as well, Mayor, is that I'm trying to implement a little bit more of a policy that when we sit to negotiate, whether or not we're going to consider mediation or any type of negotiated settlement with any claim. I'm trying to do that with a team approach. We did that on the Parat matter.
Yeah.
That I convened a call with almost 10 lawyers on the call. And so that it's not just my decision that you're hearing from, Mayor, that I'm trying to collectively take in a lot of experience and knowledge on matters and let attorneys that are handling the case weigh in on that. And that has been so far an effective strategy about making sure we get, if we're going to have to negotiate, that we get to a number that we think is a reasonable.
Yeah, and that case, you mentioned some other cases, are cases that took place 25, 30 years ago, some not even longer, that, you know, we happen to sit here now in governance and we have to pay, we have to pay that toll, unfortunately.
I got a matter involving Taylor Street Mayor that started in 1999. So all of a sudden we're getting notice that there's potential litigation on a DEP matter. So that's just what we face, is things that can be 25, 30 years old.
If Solicitor Bonaconi's have any questions, Kathy, from you or City Councilor Tim Allen?
We work together all the time
Oh, yeah.
on his salaries and figuring out, and he puts positions out and, so it's a work in process. Putting the law department back together, so to speak.
So, yeah, so Steve, I thought I heard you say you had 9 openings or something, and you had to do some aggressive recruiting. Where would that be reflected here?
The 9 openings are part of the, professional services number. So in that number, the 2.7 in professional services, the 9 open positions are in that.
So when I look at department staff and it says 33 actual, 33 adopted, et cetera.
That's in there. Those
That's
numbers are
in there.
Yes.
So why wouldn't it say 23 openings or something if there's 9?
That's what they've requested, funding for. So, and we have funded it because as I said, and he's been saying since he got here, that they actively are recruiting and they're posting positions and I don't want to speak for you, but, it may come a time when he's gonna ask for that, personal service number to be reduced because he can't fill the positions and putting the money into professional services to hire more outside law firms. So it's not so much that we're going to save money if he can't fill those positions. We're going to eventually have to move it to the professional services so we can hire outside law firms because the cases aren't going down.
But one thing I envision with you, Kathy, is after these 3 days of hearings, et cetera, that at some point you and I, as we've talked about, would sit down and go through the
Yep.
staffing and all
Yep,
that.
yep.
And I just trying to reconcile how many openings, well, you'll know, and you'll
Right,
know how
yes.
it's reflected.
And
here.
that, and all the, departments yesterday acknowledged what, if they had openings and how long they've been open. And most of them, I think, were open a very short time that have been posted or going to be filled. But the law department, again, is a work in
It's different,
process.
it's different.
It's different, and if there's any savings in salaries, we're gonna automatically move it to professional services. He has no choice. He'll have to hire outside counsel and it'll be more money.
I do have, out of those positions I mentioned, at least 4 of them are posted right now. We've done interviews and we're still waiting for a couple of those to close. So I don't have those vacancies because there isn't a need. It's more that I had several staff members leave the department. And then there's just been a challenge for us to refill those.
Yeah, I get the issues you have. I'm just, I'm thinking, you know, the two that went before you, there was a, you know, Steve was gonna go without a position, and then I'm not sure. There was another, was a difference of one in each of those,
Yes.
and this is
Based on,
bigger.
remember last year that we were gonna, do away with 15 positions, well, one of the positions in comptrollers was one of those 15. So he gave those up,
Very good,
yeah.
good connecting the dots there.
Uh-huh. You tortured me last year, how funny that.
Watch out,
Not done.
Yeah, I know. Just started all over again.
watch out for Dr. No. We are joined by, again, and I mentioned before, he was with us yesterday with, as was, Councilor Zeta Galan from, Ward 8 in New Orchard, Forest Park, Ward 6 Councilor Victor Davila is on. Victor, thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions or want to just make an opening comment before we move on. Any other questions for, City Solicitor Bonacani, or Victor has it, or just, if not, Victor, an opening comment at all, be fine.
Nope, just glad to be here to continue to hear it, your proposed budget, and I'm looking forward to hear it, the whole discussion today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you again, Councilor Davila, for joining with us again. I appreciate that.
No problem, sir.
No other questions of Solicitor Bonacani?
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Steve, very, very much for all your efforts and your whole team.
Thank you.
Your whole team. All right, we'll go back to, schedule. And we'll bring up internal audit. Young, no, please. Thank you, Young. And I have to say, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're one of the few cities that has this component, Young.
Yes, we're the only city in the state of Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, so we are the only city.
Yes, that has an official internal audit department. And that function, well,
Just double check.
the city's very modern approach to governing. So I appreciate the opportunity to present my budget. I want to first start off to state our mission of the Office of Internal Audit, and that is to provide independent reviews and assessment of city departments and programs to help them improve operations and to prevent and detect fraud, waste, and abuse. Our scope includes city departments, including the school department, city retirement system, and vendors that do business with the city. I want to thank my staff for their efforts and good work. The department's success could not be possible without them. So for FY25, I want to highlight some activities. We expect to complete 10 audits. They include Parks and Recreation, Payment in lieu of taxes review, a review of the school lunch contract at Springfield Public Schools, first student transportation contract review. We did a cybersecurity review at Springfield Public Schools, and we're doing some follow-up audits related to the city's benefit plan, healthcare plan, student athletic funds, workers' compensation follow-up, and a city fleet follow-up review. And lastly, we're looking at student activities at Springfield Public Schools. We also maintain the city's fraud hotline for employees and citizens to report allegations of fraud tips. We provide consulting services to city management. This year we did a fire overtime review as requested by the capital office. We help reduce the city's professional fees by doing reviews of the student activities over at Springfield Public Schools, and we allocate as eligible portion of the external audit fees to federal grants, and we work with the external auditors on that. So for FY26, our audit plan, which will be formally presented next month, will include a procurement review over at the empowerment zone. We're going to look at seized cash, confidential funds, and property at the evidence room at Springfield Police Department. Street maintenance review, and lastly, a cybersecurity review at the Springfield Public Libraries. My FY26 budget is a 11 service budget. It funds 3 full-time employees. Our OTPS is mostly composed of external audit fees, which are non-discretionary. Audited financial statements are required by federal regulations. And if we were to cut 3% from our OTPS, that would entail less attendance to seminars. And my wish list would include an additional license for a data mining software for our staff auditor. So we use software for data mining to go through large sets of data, which if you were to do manually would take a lot of hours. So having this additional license would help improve our audit process.
And that is, I never, I didn't use the term short money, but that's what, $2,000.
$2,000.
Dr. knows what it adds up, but if it's good.
I am the actual Dr. No.
That's right, pardon the pun. Young no, but that's Dr. No. And unlike other places where they're using a chainsaw, we're very strategic when we have to make adjustments on it and structured on it, so appreciate that. So that would be your request as far as your cut there, you'd still be able to effectively run the department if we have to do that cut, though you'd like to keep up on some training aspects, am I correct on that?
Correct.
Okay. Kathy, any questions?
No.
Counselor Allen?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the fact this is the only city in Massachusetts that has this. I've probably heard that before, but I never landed on it. As someone who teaches business ethics and has for years, at Springfield College, we're looking at this stuff all the time in my class, so maybe I'll talk to you offline about it.
Yeah.
You might be invited to be a guest speaker. So are there opportunities for us here? Like besides doing the 10 you're gonna do this year and stuff, are there opportunities that could create, I don't know, opportunities for revenue or opportunities to reach out to other cities and say how you do it? Like, where do you go for someone to, kind of go like this to how do you handle this situation?
Well,
Do you have a place you go?
we look at other communities to see what their practices are, but when
But their
we,
practices aren't provided by the community itself. They must be hiring outside auditors all the time.
some communities that we do look at reside outside of Massachusetts. They have internal audit departments and they have audits of similar departments size of Springfield. So we look at those audit reports to see what issues that they've uncovered. We also, from an audit perspective, we primarily focus our audits on those areas of programs that have a lot of financial impact. So we look at contracts, big contracts, like recently reviewed school transportation contract.
Yeah.
And noted a lot of issues.
And we found some issues in that. I was in that because I'm on the audit committee.
Right,
But
and we bring these issues.
that was kind of an ugly meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
We bring these issues to light and
Sorry, but
and we make recommendations for improvement, and a lot of these recommendations do have some cost component to it, and so we try to keep that in mind. Always try to make sure that the citizens are getting what they're paying for, what the city's paying for, and also to help improve operational efficiencies and always protect assets, cash, in particular.
I appreciate it. Tim brought, Counselor, a good point on the busing contract. I just said it at some other meeting. Everybody thinks the school department pays for the busing. That's been a city side thing for years. Well, $42 million. And again, we want to make sure we get our children educated and get them to school, but no, I appreciated when that was done to whether clawbacks or that the contract requirements
Requirements, right?
will be followed. So.
we'll talk some more. Good job with the staff of 3. You do a great job.
Thank you.
And pointing things out and helping us toe the line. But appreciate it. Okay, I'll talk offline.
And the Springfield College marquee will be that you'll be speaking at Professor Allen's.
I'll be happy to come in.
What? We had 6 weeks left, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 and 9 and 10.
Well, we'll
This
not,
is, by the way, spring break week.
yes.
So nice job scheduling these.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if, Kathy, you didn't have any questions at all? Billy, Counselor Davila, Victor, you have any questions?
No question, no questions, sir.
Thank you very much. John, you're off the hook.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Hey, okay, all right, my budget's up, okay, which is really bare bone. We made our cut, a little more of the cut that we had to make, we made that. It's heavy on personnel, cost. My OTPS is, very, limited. As you know, I don't travel, that much, if any at all, unless it's gonna, bring back, benefits to the residents and business community of the city of Springfield. And a lot of other things we do, sometimes I'll just do it out of my campaign account, but we kept it bare bone. I deeply appreciate, I have a great staff and they're very dedicated. And people know in this business, when you're the mayor and the mayor's office is 24/7. So we made our cut. I ordered a cut. We did make the cut. Basically, I think you'll see the same thing with the city council too. It's heavy on personnel, services, on that. That's where we stand. I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments. You know, we weren't.
You don't have the.
You know, we've never been able to get that jacuzzi or the wet bar, so, you know, that was a joke, by the way.
No vacancy.
Yeah.
No vacancies. So you see basically stability in your staff.
It's been the same. Yeah, they've been great. We've been through a lot of trials and tribulations with COVID, and tornado, nor'easters. Besides, here's the thing. Whether you're dealing with $1 billion project or Mrs. Smith calls you about a pothole on her street, you gotta respond. You gotta respond. What are you gonna do about that, Sarno? So that's constituent services big with us. So that's where we're at. And we did.
She did call you, I told her.
So that's where we made our, cuts are warranted. We have made our cut. I think it was a little more than expect. We made the cut. Kathy, Billy, Tim, Councilor Davila. Okay, here, thank you very much. We'll now bring up, Madam Clerk, the stylish one, Gladys Oyola, and now she's wearing her Board of Election Commissioners, hat.
Oh, is that the first one up? Let's see.
Yeah, we'll do elections, and by the way, I want to,
Un momentito. Yo lo tengo.
thank, would you let Victor know that
He's ordering food.
okay, okay.
You want to place an order?
No,
We're in the budget process, we'll see what we got it.
I wanted to, state for Gladys too, by the way, every time I speak to, or Bill Galvin, who's our Secretary of State, and this is not to, patronize you or part of my Streetland Act or BS you, raves about you and how you run the department. And as you know, Boston election has been taken over.
Oh, yes.
The state took it over. So you and your staff do a great job in juggling and making sure whether it's a local election, state election, or national election. And also, we just had the Dominican flag raising couples, how many Saturdays ago I did that?
On three.
Three, we did that. And
There.
they were so appreciative because yourself and working with Benny Morero, my office, first time ever, those citizens that are here, dual citizenship, were able to vote for the representation, not only here, but in Dominican Republic. We did that, very appreciative of that, and your outreach of your staff shows the whole thing, that many times at events, and you're there. Recruiting for people to make sure they go out and vote, and recruiting for people to register the vote, so we appreciate that, so Madam Clerk, I'll turn it over
I
to
think you
you.
said everything I was gonna say. Well, I always jokingly say that I'm one of the department heads that has more bosses than staff, because Galvin is my boss at the state level. You're one of my bosses, and then I have 13 with the city council. So,
That's the
but
challenge.
in terms of, in terms of the
That-
election budget.
Not
Joking.
In terms of the election budget, we have, the 5 FTEs. This past year was very interesting, I'll say, with the federal election, state offices on the ballot. And we do have a staff of 2 additional temporary employees that we do hire for these bigger elections. So that was where I was able to take the cut out of this year. So if you look at the budget, I was reduced the 1 temporary position, because we won't have any state or federal offices on the ballot for this year. We do have, if I wasn't able to reduce it by the 3%, it would be more than 3% with the reduction of the temp salaries. But if I wasn't, I would have to, dip into the basics, because I'm bare bones across all 3 budgets.
I know you're.
The only additional service request that we did have was the $20,000 for the protective carrying cases. And the DS200s, we started using those in 2021. They're great machines. All the voters love them. But we're noticing the wear and tear because they get brought to and from the polls. So we reached out to the vendor in other cities and towns to see if there was any systems that they use to kind of handle the machines with kid gloves, because they're basically like computers. So they get banged around. We have to call for service repairs. Those service repairs aren't covered under the warranty because it's, user damage. So we're coming up with $20,000 to have the machines be able to stay in the office. They'll be stored in the back, and then when they get sent to the polls, it's a safer system than the one we currently use.
Now, just, Commissioner Clerk Iola, we do at times get some reimbursement, whether from the state or the federal government, or does the state for certain elections?
Yes, so we will receive
We have to spend it
reimbursement.
first, obviously, yeah.
So we received reimbursement for the early voting and for the extended polling hours. The extended polling hours will be every year, but the early voting is only going to be for our federal and state elections.
Yeah, and you've done a great job. We've had satellite sites. We have a secured box outside City Hall. People come in. I've been here on Saturdays when people coming in to vote, and the other sites on it. Plus, you do send out, you send out post reminders to people that
All the time.
It's time to vote.
And that's one of my, across all 3 departments, one of my biggest passions is the customer service, the constituent service piece of what we do, and voting, doing the outreach events, something that's a must. Luckily, we'll be able to increase it as we've coming out of COVID. All of the different neighborhood councils, the different religious groups have continued to add us to the list. We're doing an Easter event, April 19th. We're going to be out in the community registering voters, getting people signed up to vote and vote by mail.
Very good. So with your situation, you made your cut to with this, you'd still be able to maintain
Yes.
the services to our residents and the
Yes.
voting? Okay, I appreciate that. And your additional request was the 20,000 to make sure on the cases, the tabulators.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Madam Clerk?
For elections, no.
Okay, Kathy, any questions?
No.
City Councilor, Allen or City Councilor Davila, any questions for you?
No questions.
I have one.
Yeah.
Speaking about the machines and all, when there was all that brouhaha on the national level about the Dominion voting machines and the lawsuits and all that, did we use those?
No, so we use the 2 big vendors nationally are Dominion and Election Systems and Software. We so happen to luckily use Election Systems Software. They're out of Omaha, Nebraska, but they have contractors that are here local. So anytime we have an issue, they're, Johnny on the spot. They will come do everything on election day. They're a phone call away if you need anything. And they've also trained it. Something I didn't mention, and I wanted to, shout out, she's not here, Aaron from finance. The finance team has
Oh,
been
you're right here.
amazing, different projects within my different departments, but for elections, the e-poll books is through ESNS, that vendor, election system software, and we're gonna be having, a digital check-in at the polling locations. Right now, we have the system where everybody's name's on a paper list. We have the current 60 or 73 lists across the city of Springfield, and our poll workers have to find your name, you know, as you vote. It'll be a computerized tablet. They can type in your name, find you, and the bonus or the benefit of having this is they can see the voter list across the city. So if you go to your polling location here in Ward 1, and if your name's not there, oh, I forgot I used to live over in Ward 7, you'll be able to see it. Whereas now they have to call City Hall,
Yeah, the
which floods our,
cross-reference.
which floods our phone system and becomes, you know, cumbersome. It takes time at the polling location. So that's one of the admins that we're gonna be doing in the department.
The other thing that is important that the Commissioner Oyola heads, city census. Because it's extremely important that everybody is counted, because we have to stay above that 150,000 population. That's a formula. Hopefully, if we get CQB chief, you know, HUD, that's a formula that puts us in a rightful level. You go below $150, we lose funding. And I think we're running at about 155 now or so,
Yes,
maybe a little bit higher.
155 and 156.
56, yeah, all right. So I think people, and it's important to the viewing audience, people, we need you to answer your census. And we also need you to, I just did mine, when verification comes out that you're still an active voter. Very simple, you have to sign it and send it in. So that way we, you know, guard against any type of fraudulent activity. And you're all set, you can come in the vote. Any other questions, Louis? Victor, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry, I do have a question after all. Madam Clerk, good to see you. Good to see you again. I got some questions, quick questions for you. I was looking over at the summary that was provided to us, and it says that a 3% reduction of the OTPS will significantly impair functions, specifically regarding postal allocations, restricting mailings for voters. Does that mean absentee ballots or vote by mail?
If we would have not taken the cut out of personnel, that's what the cut would have reflected if we took it out. But we
Oh, I
didn't,
see. So you're making
so we
up the
took it out.
cut by personnel.
Of a temporary staff person. So that's something we only use during a state election year, federal election year. So this year's local, we don't need that body.
Oh, okay, I see. So right now you have 5 total. Does that
Five
5,
total.
is that, so you have 5 bodies working right now in that office?
Correct, 5 full-time,
And 1 that you temporarily took out?
correct.
Okay, and now, out of this budget, I'm thinking,
Bless you. Go ahead, bless you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor?
No, I was Commissioner Calvi sneezed, so just sick, God bless you.
Bless you, Commissioner Calvi. So I just wondering, do we pay the, what's the name of that, for the elections, the people are
The
I'm drawing a
total,
blank. Poll workers, thank you. Total drew a blank there for a second. We pay them out of what budget?
they get paid out of temporary salaries and wages of the election.
Out of this, okay, and so the great question is, are we considering, or will we be considering a pay adjustment for them?
We haven't in quite some years. I would say it's over 5 years at this point that we haven't raised their salary. The last time we did, it was $20 per position. So at this point, they make $140, $160, and $180, depending on the work they do. And then they also get paid $20 for a training, a mandatory training that they have to attend every year. And it's something that we would bring before the city council in order to even implement an increase. So the city council would have to vote on it.
Yeah, I hear you, and I hear this, we're trying to keep this budget to a minimum. But those are the poll workers, people that we couldn't do that without them. It's a long day, and we all know that they're really civic oriented. And I think, we should, compensate them a little better because it's a long day for them. And I think what are we giving them? You say, how much are we giving them?
So the
29?
warden, yeah, no, they
No,
get
no.
paid for one flat fee, no taxes are taken out.
Mhm.
And 140 is
160
the
and
clerks,
180.
160 for the, 140 is
Yeah.
the inspector.
I understand.
160, yeah, and then 180.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, it is what it is, this year, but, hopefully next year we can, look at that because I think, at least I will personally welcome that because I think I make it a point of, touring the city, looking at the polling locations, and they do work hard, as you, Madam Clerk,
We do.
fully aware. So, that's that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Gladys.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Gladys, we haven't had any trouble recruiting poll workers. have we?
No.
Okay, it's okay, so it's not, all right.
Same ones every year. I see a mighty well in place.
This, yeah. This, so we just, but we haven't had any issues, okay. Any other questions of, election commissioner or? Okay, hearing none, then we're gonna take on the, here, city council, please.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, no.
Well, the council budget is second, maybe only to the mayor's office.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Is pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
It's heavy on the personnel, 3 full-time employees, and also all of the city councilor salaries are paid through this budget. I did reduce the advertising line by $540. The advertising for the city council is, it's included in the budget. We use it very sparingly. Sometimes we do have a leftover.
Yeah.
That goes back into the general fund from that advertising. So I was able to make the reduction without, affecting services to any of the constituents or councils. We're lucky in that the council has a very good working relationship with Focus, and the finance team is always, providing whatever the city council office needs in terms of these owls here that they use in the back office, anything for the city council chambers, we're always taking care of. We just recently started using the new microphone system, which have improved the sound there, 100%. And the city council itself, I didn't provide a wish list item for the city council, but if I had a wish list item, I presented it to, and the thing is, it would have to be in conjunction with whoever the city council president is, would be an academy for city councils. I know that the state legislature, the new state reps and new senators get to go to UMass, and they have like a 1-day workshop where they learn, Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure. They learn, what their role is in the budget making process. So part of what I think would be beneficial to the new councilors that get elected this year, if new councilors get elected this year, is to attend an academy either here at Western New England College or over at UMass, as a group. And I think it would build camaraderie between the new councilors. They would be all on an even playing field, and be able to walk into, the 2026 year, with a tool bag of information. I know that we have, 6,500 that we put aside for professional development, but I didn't want to take it out of there because, everybody has their
Yeah.
things that they want to do with their $500 a piece. But if I did have a wish list item for the council, would be that.
So that's still in there, the professional.
Yes, you still have your $500 a piece.
No one has spent anything this year, and last year you only spent about 1,400.
For example, Counselor Govan will, she goes to MMA conference.
1,449 last year.
That's good. We ran something at Springfield College 3 or 4 years ago at the East Campus,
Mhm.
which is the off of Wilbraham Road, that part. And 7 attended, 7 out of 13. It was really pretty good. Springfield College people presented, but again, just hard to get everybody at the same time. So that's a good idea, what you just proposed. If we were gonna consider that, getting that dates of those out as soon as possible, in case we took advantage of it, so minimize the chance of people saying I'm not available that day.
So it would be, I would say it'd be for January, once the new
Yeah.
group gets sworn in. We can have something somewhere.
Yeah, no, that would be good to do.
My thing was, when I was a young city councilor, was not only listening, but the guy was this Billy Metzger.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would spend a lot of time with Clerk Metzger, as city guy, and as council president, all the parliamentary procedures and on it. And that, as Councilor Allen says, tough, because that takes time.
It does.
That takes time to do that, but I don't think, I don't know if we can do it, depending on the budget. I don't think it'd be a bad idea.
Mhm.
And it can build camaraderie too, and
Yeah,
also to understand, because a lot of things have changed now.
Yes.
And there is a myriad of laws, and you have Robert rules, parliamentary process, and how to properly use it, how properly not to use it. And so it could be beneficial.
The other thing we've dealt with, which you've experienced, is people remote and
Oh,
the
yeah.
difficulty of calling, and you call people, I know Mike had a strategy for how to, in what order to call people kind of thing, and just it adds another element, so that might be something that we could benefit from if we see what other people are doing, because they just re-upped it, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, till
Yeah,
2020.
I'd like to see, I've said it to the business community, the chamber luncheon, a few weeks. People gotta come back to work for the ecosystem of economic development, but also governmental. Now, there'll be times where it makes sense, you could have the remote access, but, it's better to have the bodies in the building at that point in time, but there could be times where you need that. There could be times there's remote meetings, Boston or some other place, I get that, but to get people back, in the chambers of the office or I think,
It's been a detriment to me.
well, that, I didn't.
I always come,
No, I
but,
know you do.
but, where it helps, even for someone like me, is to do committee meetings. Committee meetings I don't think there's much downside to doing committee meetings remotely,
Yeah.
but the full council meetings, there's downside.
And again, there might be times where council, he or she, legitimate extenuating, get it, no problem on that, but, we should try to people back, maybe back in offices, back to work. Because the spin-off effects are important, especially for a lot of the smaller businesses.
Right.
Subset. I know Councilor Davila has his hand up. Victor? You're still muted, Victor.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. First, allow me to say, Mr. Mayor, that I do concur with you that I think it's time that we fully transition to in-person. Not only the macro economics, the multiplying effect of people showing up to work in their office, how critical it is to their office, but also in the full city council. But I think we need to lead by example and be fully present. But that's a discussion that I'm sure that what I like to call it, Mr. Mayor, this wise and humble body will at some point take up and decide on that. But Madam Clerk, quick question. Let me just look at the budget here real quick at the analysis. So you're asking for 573,000 and some change. Specifically, I think it's $500 that you mentioned that we get per counselor for professional development.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we haven't been exactly using it in the last couple of years, correct?
Each counselor has the ability to use it,
Right.
and you can do it as a reimbursement. So if you go attend a
Right.
conference or for whatever reason, Counselor Delgado, Counselor Luna, Counselor Letterman used it when he was city councilor, but not everyone does.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As a group, we could do better using that money. Now, my compliments to you. I love that idea too of the professional development or counselor academy at UMass. I know when I first got elected, TJ and the then clerk, Tanisha Davis, Lindsay Hackett, they did a mini crash course, and it was like 3 or 4 sessions, which for me as a brand rookie in the council, when my head was spinning, it was pretty helpful. And so I think it's
Yeah, I continue to do something.
Yeah, we'll continue, but
Something was done years ago too.
Yeah, and so, if we don't use that money for professional development for the councils, what happens to it?
It gets returned to the general fund.
Okay, now, is EMS gonna be I'm gonna venture to say no cost, or are they expecting actually a payment?
Oh,
How we
no,
will pay?
I'm assuming that you have to
Yeah.
pay.
I'm trying to be hopeful here, but
Even
where
if it's
we
for
pay,
the-
where will the city council pay from, would you have, how do we pay for it from the city council? Where the money will come from?
If we were to get that wish list item, it would be wherever the capital lets us take the money from.
It was one of our wish
Wish,
list
it was
items
a
to
wish
add to
list
the
item, it
item.
wasn't in the
and to
budget.
add to
Right,
the budget.
if it was, but will it come out of the professional development for each councilor? Maybe?
No, no,
No.
no.
No,
It's
okay.
in addition.
In
It's
addition.
addition.
In addition, okay, I see, okay. I hope we can get that professional academy, council's academy, has catchy name, I like it a lot, and
Yeah.
hopefully will make us more efficient. I think we try our best, but I concur with the mayor, it will be a good thing. So, thank you, Madam Clerk, good job.
Thank you, Councilor Bill. Yeah, and you gotta, that happens, you gotta make sure you get the right facilitator here, chief.
Correct.
That's key, that's key. Keep it going. Any other questions pertaining to the city council budget? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much. Last item for Madam Clerk now. City Clerk's office, and again, I believe we are the second busiest clerk's office in the Commonwealth, which means we're the second busiest clerk's office, I understand, in maybe in New England too.
I would
Okay.
say so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Front facing.
Yeah, and that's with 11 full-time employees. We are currently working on an office renovation, so another shout out to finance. And also facilities and you, Mayor, for approving, I think the last time there was an actual space renovation in that front office was 20 years
Oh,
ago.
yeah, you got the jacuzzi and the wet bar.
That's in my
great.
office. That's the only thing I.
That's a
asked for.
joke again, that's a joke.
I get you.
But that is starting next week, so next week is going to be a little bit haywire in terms of the office staff. They're all gonna be moved to different departments. We're gonna have some in some of our sister departments in elections, 311, there's the person in council office, they're all scattered to the four winds. And then the front counter is still gonna be open for business. We have, easily probably the busiest birthing, we have two birthing
Yeah.
centers in Springfield, so that makes us the busiest in terms of registering births. But as well as deaths, marriages. For the city of Springfield, we end up being kind of the hub for, marriage license applications. And I found out by calling people, because, people who live in Ludlow, Wilbraham, end up in Springfield. applying. And it's because they get told by their city, their town or city that they're, you have to do it either by appointment, so they make it a little bit difficult. And they say, but Springfield, you can just walk right in. And so it's part of what our $1.2 million revenue is. It's a booming, love is alive in Springfield, the booming marriage.
You hear that? Spring is here and love is in the air, so dictates election, Madam Clerk Gladys Oyola. That's a good sign.
And part of what we put in for the budget impact, if we had to reduce, would affect our mailing line. Because we do have to mail out the records to many of the people, and we provide, this is very simple because our budget is so bare bones. We provide envelopes for all of the records when people come in through the door physically, and we would have to cut that because that's our biggest, the paper line is our envelopes
Okay.
that we give out, as well as the free licenses that we mail out to anyone over 70 gets a free dog license.
So that affects direct constituents.
Direct
All right,
constituents,
well,
that's the only
that's
department.
why I wanna know that, because I wanna caucus it, that we always wanna be customer service oriented, okay. Okay, and your additional request?
And so the other additional request, because of the influx of marriages, a marriage application, so if you're going to get married, you have to the couple has to physically come into the office and fill out paperwork. So they have to apply in person and fill out long form paperwork
Yeah,
in order to be married. The process can take anywhere from 30 minutes. We had a couple in our office at one day for like 5 hours. Because every time.
Were
they
they
make-
sure they want to get married? One of them was looking for a way out, maybe.
And implementing this online portal system, Boston has it, Peabody, Plymouth, Easton, would help reduce the number of walk-ins that we do. By the time they come into the office, their information will be in the system. We print it out, they go over it, be able to sign, pay, and walk out the door.
So that's again, front-facing customer
Yes,
service.
customer service, to improve customer service and also improve
Okay.
for the staff.
Okay. Any questions of Madam Clerk Kathy?
Your staffing is
Counselor Allen?
Completely
Sorry.
for the staff.
fully staffed.
Counselor Davila?
Yeah, I think Councilor Allen, great minds think alike. I was just gonna ask that, so you don't have any open positions.
No vacancies.
Okay, now a quick question. I believe you say that we also issue certificates to people from outside of the city. People birth that happen in the city, death. What other kind of certificates do we give out for people from outside of the city?
Marriage certificates.
Marriage,
Like-
yeah,
Yeah, so
okay,
those, yeah, the biggest one is marriage, really.
right. So I don't even know if this is possible. Do we have a fee structure or is it the same fee for everybody, whether you're not
I
resident?
knew that's where you were going, and as a matter of fact.
You know what? I keep saying, I'm gonna find that rock that's gonna give me money. I keep saying it. I will
Great
find.
minds do think alike, in terms of, and this, I won't take any of the credit for it, as a matter of fact. The clerks, the vital records clerks that work at the counter have asked me if we could increase the fees for anyone applying to be married in Springfield, or they don't apply to be married in Springfield, but they apply for the license in Springfield, because as I said, Long Meadow, for example, sends all of their people here, and it's
Really?
a convenience for the, yes, because their clerk doesn't know how to do the paperwork, and so they have told us, they called us and told us, and we can't turn anyone away. It's a service we have to provide based on what the state requires us to do. So we have, the staff asked if we could charge basically a convenience fee, an inconvenience fee, they called it.
So,
Uh,
I've been happily married for 23 years now, my lovely wife Sonia. And I totally forgot, what's the fee for the marriage license right now?
To file a marriage intention, it's $40. And it's
40.
interesting to me that people would rather come here and do it, or they do come here and do it. They pay to park. They pay a $40 fee, whereas if they were to do it in, I think it's $20 in West Springfield. It's usually $20 or $30, depending on the city or town. We're the highest in Western Mass, $40. And people happily pay the $40.
Would we be, just piggybacking off Counselor Davila's point, would this be a fee that we would, out of town residents?
Correct. So let's say if we charge $50, if you're not a town
Out of town.
resident, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I,
some similar to what the Parks does. The Parks
Well, yeah,
Department.
when you go out
Right.
of town or out of state, we'll end up paying more. Yeah, so that might be
Right.
something to look at.
Yeah.
yeah, I will encourage you, Madam Clerk, to look at that, because, I think it's money on the table. It's not gonna break it's not gonna put the bank over, but, still. I hate to ask you this, Madam Clerk, but if you could give us, how many marriage certificates permits are given out a year, and how many of those are from outside of Springfield? I will just kind of curious now as you're talking about this. And I will totally leave the fee up to you. I'm not the clerk, I don't work there. I think, if we do a sort of a license, marriage fee increase, has to be
Move
reasonable.
it up,
They're not gonna be.
move it up to 50, move it up, maybe consider moving it up to 50
Yeah.
for out of town.
Yeah, whatever you, Madam Clerk, whatever you think is appropriate, you're the person leading the department, but
Yes.
I'm just looking from the outside that perhaps that's something that we could.
And again, we don't mind, out of town visiting, so that's
Correct.
great, but we also want to make sure that Springfield residents are, when they're coming in, I don't say first part, but, they're priority.
And I think part of what might roll into something a little bigger is if we can make the process of application easier by the online
Online.
portal system.
Yeah,
Right, currently, we have about, a little over 1,000 a year that we do of the marriage intentions. So I can get you the number as to how many
Yeah,
were
okay.
out of town,
Thank you.
a
Mark.
little over, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said, well, it's in the air.
And that could maybe Kathy could offset. If we're able to do some of this front facing customer service, I would offset it a little bit. Well,
Right.
no, if you're doing 1,000. Nah, yeah, I can, okay.
It's not gonna be a lot, I know, but
Exactly,
still.
no,
Sometimes it's more than
Yeah.
4 days.
I mean, how many weeks in here? 50?
52.
52.
I think it'd be a cost center, right there. We could get young Noah to do some auditing stuff for us. The marriage process.
Any other questions of the
Thank you,
marriage
Mr. Mayor.
guru, marriage guru, city clerk? Gladys Viola. Okay, hearing.
I'm shocked.
Okay, yeah. She's gonna have her own talk show. So, all right, guys, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, councilors.
Last but not least, we appreciate it. We have, our hardworking, fire commissioner, BJ Calvi, many times had
Thanks for
on.
coming early.
I know, I know Deputy, Hess is here, Deputy McCaffrey is here, Erica Floyd, Rebecca Ocasio doing a great job with 911 dispatch, also on it, so. Commissioner Calvi, thank you, and, your efforts on Carver Street the other day too, and he had an off-duty firefighter that, with the mailman that sprung into action, knocking on the doors to get the people out of there too.
Yeah, we made a rescue off the second floor. The first company pulled the blind woman off the second floor.
And those houses, that's a little further up where I am, those houses are right on top of each other.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
We were lucky to get it stopped because the house right next door, the siding was starting to slough when we pulled up. So that was close to going too.
we appreciate, your efforts, and again, as I always say, whether in promotions or, academies, I know the commissioner will get into it. Springfield was still a, interior attack fire department, and again, the oldest mechanical, operating department in the country. But with that, I'll turn it over to Fire Commissioner BJ Calvin.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
So some quick department highlights from calendar year 2024. We answered 21,556 calls for service last year. That's up 3% year over year. And we're up about 37% from 2018. We've seen a 37% call increase since 2018 in total call volume. We had no fire fatalities in calendar year 2024. That's the first time since 2015. We haven't seen a fire fatality in the city in the year. And we were able to cut our lost time hours due to injured on duty by about 10,000 hours last year. So we're down to 33,000 lost time hours due to IOD. It's still pretty high, but we're trying to work on it as best we can. But it's a very physical job, and right now the trend seems to be shoulder injuries and knee injuries coming out of the winter. We've had a lot of guys slip, trips, and falls at fires and icy nights, and we've had 3 guys in the last month go out on shoulder injuries that are probably going to need shoulder surgery, and we've got 4 or 5. We've got 5 knee surgeries pending right now for people that have blown their knees out over the winter on icy conditions. So we've got that going on. Those are some of the department highlights. The budget is a level service budget for this year, maintains funding for the 294 fire department positions. Of those, 278 are uniform positions. We have 8 administrative personnel and 8 repair personnel. We have 1 repair position open that we're going to be interviewing for in the next couple of weeks. It's already gone through PRC to be refilled.
I want to thank you, Commissioner, too, for highlighting, we've been hiring, been able to hire some of our high school kids out of Putnam Vocational Technical Academy. I know you have 2 now.
Yeah.
And you're your fire repair division. We have a couple on IT, DPW, let's see, on it, so, on that, and, you're probably into it, but I also want to thank you. We're joined by, 22 News is also on. Thank you very much, 22 News. We appreciate that. Your Narcan, I think, Ryan Walsh has put something out on the record number of lives we saved through the police department and the fire department. Tremendous, and many a times fire attack units will be the first ones to respond. Sometimes with police or head of police or head of AMR for your life-saving stuff, so,
I'll touch on that now. Our Narcan program has been widely successful.
Yeah.
And in conjunction with that, we also have EpiPens on
yeah,
all
that's
fire
right.
engines.
Yeah,
And we've had several saves over the last couple of years with EpiPens for residents having anaphylactic reactions. So we've been very successful with our EpiPen program as well. So as I said, we have one open repair position right now. We're going to be interviewing to fill that position. We had filled it, but then the person didn't work out and left after a couple of days. So we're just reposting it. We've got a good internal candidate who's going to be one of our apprentices. The repair supervisor feels he's ready to be a journeyman now. So we're going to interview and hopefully he'll be the new hire as a journeyman repair apparatus repairman.
Commissioner, where do you stand? You had mentioned earlier, and I jumped to the Narcan. Are we staying close to attrition? I know you're doing the mini academy. I'm trying to, with police, right? I'm hoping we're holding 47, Kathy, which would be the biggest class in years. We're gonna still be behind the police. We were holding pretty well, but are we just a little bit lower now?
We were a little bit lower, so out of the last two academy classes, we've had a 50% attrition rate graduating the academy.
Yeah.
So,
That means they leave before they graduate.
Yeah.
they failed out.
Yeah.
Failed them.
If they're not cut, say the police, if you're not cutting it there, doesn't want he or she on truck, police department, same thing. If you're not cutting it in the academy, we don't want those individuals on the street. We want the best.
So fortunately, with the finance department, we've been able to put together a 20-person academy. The Mass Fire Academy has allowed us to put 20 people in the same academy, so which will be the largest academy class we've run in almost a decade. So we're gonna fill all the vacancies, get everybody up to snuff with one academy class and catch back up. And then after that, we'll go back to the mini academies and do it 8 at a time. But we fell behind losing people for failing out of the academy. And then with IODs that are coming into the retirement process, I have 8 people in the disability pipeline right now, and they've been trickling out going through the retirement board. So we've been having a hard time keeping up because once we hire, it's 6 months until we can get the next class through usually. So losing half of one academy, we were already behind, and then we couldn't make that up in the next academy because we'd already hired for that academy. And then we lost people out of that academy, so it put us really far behind.
And just for the viewing public to let you know, when you say, geez, why can't you do larger numbers? For a number of years, once we partnered with the state with the new training academy in New Orchard, the deal was Springfield would get the most, which would be 12.
Yes.
And in turn with our financial status, we were able to do mini academies. We did 2, 3 a year on it. And now they allowed us to go 20 because the last couple of academies, we had 50% loss. And we always maybe account for 10%, but lately fire or even police, the losses have been larger, though I hope the 47 hold with the police department. So 20, will 20 get us close, Commissioner?
20 will get us very close. We're still losing 8 more for the retirement system, and I've got a couple more guys superannuating. So probably by August, we're gonna have another class of like 10 to catch back up again. So it's just a continuing cycle of people leave and putting people in. We were fortunate the academy was not gonna run, and that's why they allowed us to put more people in, because they weren't gonna have an academy in Western Mass. So because we're hiring 20 people, we're having an academy class in Western Mass, so we're good there. This budget also allows us to maintain our gear replacement program, covers all software licenses, maintains our tactical athlete wellness program, maintains our 4 lease payments for apparatus replacement, maintains the repair budget for equipment, and maintains the prevention and education budget.
You've been, not to patronize you, part of my shooting act with BS, you've been great as far as, the equipment upgrades and the truck purchasing, because you have to order those trucks sometimes a year and a half ahead of time. I know you go out there at times in Wisconsin, so we make sure, and I appreciate Kathy finances efforts on, so I know we have two more coming online.
Two more in the pipeline right now. The engine is gonna be a 3-year delivery time. So we will see it 3 years from this month, because the contract just got signed and is back. Fortunately, we were able to procure a stock ladder truck that already had a spot on the line, and we'll be getting that in about 150 days.
Okay.
So that's gonna be a really big plus to us, because it's replacing a 2011, which is really starting to show its age, and then that 2011 will replace a 1996 in the spare fleet. Our one wish list item this year is, there'd be funding for a new software program and, SOG service. We're looking at outside vendors to come in and help us redo our SOGs, and then they would test those SOGs against the national standards and best practices to make them almost bomb-proof for lawsuits. So there's 2 companies out there right now that deal with those, and I've got a price from one, and I'm waiting for a
So
price
the
from the other.
acronym there, and it's SOG, not SOB, by the way. What does that stand for? The
Standard operating guidelines.
guidelines, okay. All right.
And then they test those, they help you, they redo them for you or with you, and then they test them and continually test them against changing OSHA policies, and NIOSH policies, lawsuits that have happened elsewhere in the country.
Something like that, yeah. What's the cost of something like that?
The one quote I have thus far is 87,000 for the first year and 24,000 for every year after that we maintain the service.
All right, so we need to.
The SOG service.
Yeah, that's the first quote. There's another company that's just coming online that I've been talking to get a quote from them as well. That's why I've got it as a wish list item. And then our 3% cut, other than personnel services, we've taken that out of our, some of the equipment replacement, some of the maintenance items. 93% of our budget is personnel services.
Yeah.
So we have very little meat on the bone left for OTPS. So we were able to, we made our cut, but we're very tight to the vest as it is with that stuff.
I appreciate that, and also, for the viewing public, Mr. Calvi's very hands-on many a time. I mean, the limited times that I'm called, I need to be on scene. Mr. Calvi is on scene many a times on a lot of calls. And so, he's a hands-on commissioner.
So that concludes the budget presentation for the fire department.
All right, I'll open up for, questions, whether Kathy first.
No, we talk all the time.
Yeah.
Billy? No. Counselor Allen, Counselor Davila?
So what is your staffing now? Like, right,
But
I
it's
know
okay.
you got academies coming and stuff, but today, are you -10? Are you -12 or? are you
Right now, we're
-7?
-24.
-24. And that's in the main positions, your uniform positions.
Firefighter.
Yeah.
So with 2 or 3 academy, I mean, when you run an academy, the likelihood of getting everybody through seems to be low.
It used to be very high.
Yeah.
We never lost anybody, and this is a recent trend that we're seeing here, but it's also across the Commonwealth of people not making it through the academy.
So then the catch up, you can run, if it stays like that, you run a 20-person academy, you're only gonna get 10 if it follows with that.
Let's hope not.
Yeah,
So the good thing is we've got 3 firefighters that are already academy trained coming in this group of 24. So as soon as we can get them uniformed up, we're gonna start them earlier. So We're picking up 3 that are already academy trained right out of the chute, so that's a positive.
Okay, that's good. I'm sure you're on top of it. I just wanted to get the number. Thank you. I have one other question.
Sure. go ahead.
Not fair to ask it here, but so somebody I know that 911 person is in the room. Somebody asked me last week what the policy is on 911. A person at East Forest Park at Civic Association came up to me and said, I called 911 and they didn't respond or something other. What's the policy there?
So I find that hard to believe.
I
that
find
we-
it hard to believe too.
that we
but-
didn't respond. So if it's a lower priority call, it probably took them a while to respond. I would assume it was a police call.
I don't know.
So without all of the information, I can't speak intelligently upon it.
Right.
But I would assume it was a lower level police call that took them some time to get there.
But the policy is we get back to everybody in 911 for sure.
There's also when they call with a cell phone, it goes.
It may not, yes,
It
also if you
reroutes
call on a cell phone,
Yeah.
we get a vast majority of those were a primary answering point for cell phones.
Mhm.
But if they're outside of what the geographic map for Springfield is, it sometimes will kick to Mass State Police in
State police,
Northampton.
and then it gets transferred.
Then it gets transferred back to us, but that's very rare that happens. That's usually like on the fringe areas, if you're right on the lines.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring it up here. I figured, I'd talk to you offline about it, but.
Yeah, if you can give me the,
She'll be back because her son is on the Civic Association board, so someone will be back.
You'll have to, and then, when, police, we have police, late Friday afternoon, I believe. So with, police
Yeah.
superintendent Akers, and there is categories, I try to think off the top of my head, categories on police calls. I don't know if it's 6 or 8, where, what's the number 1, what's the number 2, what's the number 3.
yeah, so a lot of people, when they call for like noise complaints or lower level calls, want immediate service, but if you've got higher level, high incident calls going on,
They kick in.
those
first.
take a back seat to the high incident calls where there's violence or anything like that taking place, or a medical emergency or things like that.
All right. Okay, that's good. I can talk to you offline if there's any more.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Davila?
Thank you. I almost said Mr. President, Mr. Mayor.
He meant-
Commissioner, it's good
He meant
seeing
City
you.
Council President, not United States President.
I know. Commissioner, good seeing you. Mr. Mayor, before I ask
Seeing
my
you.
question, I have to say that I concur with you. As many of you may know, I myself, I'm an EMS professional with a local company here in Springfield. And whether it is at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning,
He's there.
I have looked to the side, and there is Commissioner Calvi on scene. I can vouch he has actually helped me on scenes too. So he's a very hands-on, and thank you for that. Leading him from the trenches. With that being said, Commissioner, I got a couple of questions for you. You did catch my attention when you say that the trend now is that we're losing people in the economy, which is pretty sad. Can you tell me what, on average, and you don't have to give me exact numbers, what the average of people we lose and some of the reasons why they're being lost?
Every one of them's been lost to academics.
Oh, okay. And what's the percentage? If a class of 20 goes in, how many come out?
So the last time we had a class of 8, we graduated 4. The time before that, we had a class of 8, we graduated 3.
Yeah.
That's scary. All because of academics.
Yes.
That's scary. So I'm going to take an educated guess and say that if you have 24 positions minus 3 that are coming out of the chute ready to work, that's 21. We're going to get 11, maybe 10.
So my
I hope
hope
I'm
is we
wrong.
do a lot. My fingers are crossed that I can graduate all 21 of them.
Yes.
So it's 100% Springfield class. So there's no excuse for them not to be helping each other or getting extra help if they need it. Some of the failures in the last couple classes is all on the people who didn't reach out for extra help. We have a Springfield Fire Department Academy staff at the Mass Fire Academy that's available to help all these students. All they have to do is ask for it. And not
I
one
see.
of these people has asked for extra help. So
I
with
see.
100% Springfield class, I'm hoping if there's people that are struggling, my instructors are right up there at the academy. And then
Yeah.
instructor cadre from SFD is right there. So
Yeah.
hopefully they can nip any of that in the bud before it gets going.
Yeah, Commissioner, I see that your budget is, proposed budget is 27 million, some change. And like you say, it's a bare bone budget. We do have a big department, of course, in comparison. Right.
Decentralized
So-
dispatch.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the TAC team. And actually, Mr. Mayor, I have a suggestion for you in a second. We had an audit committee meeting a while back, and there was a spike in overtime. What's the situation with the overtime relating to the TAC team?
So overtime is up, and it's through a variety of reasons. We were audited by the auditing department, and we had good financial management of the overtime. We had a couple of small things that we addressed, but the overtime is being driven by sick time and injury on duty time, military leave, and absenteeism. So we're doing the best we can on trying to keep people healthy. The flu ran through the department in December, January, and February. And fire stations are communal living, communal dining. So when one person gets the flu, it's only a matter of time between in a multi-person station like Mason Square, there's 12 people on duty. When one person gets the flu, it's only a matter of time before all 12 people on that shift are sick with the flu.
Yeah. And if you know the number, you will impress me. How much overtime are you averaging out?
Last week, we averaged 33. The last 3 weeks, we've averaged between 33,000 and 43,000 a week.
So that's quite a few millions. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
33,000
Thousand.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yes.
A week
Yes.
for overtime.
Dollars.
You gotta remember with, strategically with the DAC units, that was to, not that there wouldn't be a quicker response before, but the wear and tear to the large vehicles, engines and ladders were responding to those calls.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially down with the metro.
The metro area.
Right, right. So that's roughly over $1.7 million in overtime for whatever reason might possibly be. But that's to the whole department, not specifically because of the TAC team.
Right, that's the spread across the whole department, and that's due to injured on duty, sickness, military leave.
Yeah, Commissioner, I feel like it's my duty to ask you this question. What are you doing to get this number down?
Well, right now we've rounded out the TAC units, so we're saving 4 overtimes a day. And other than that,
I'm sorry, I've been IOD myself. What do you mean you ground up the TAC unit?
So if we've lowered our minimum from 47 back to 43. So if we don't have the people available to run the TAC units right now, we're not running them because we are 24 people short.
But they will respond, but again, they'll be with the larger vehicles have to respond.
No, I understand, I'm sorry, go ahead, continue, Commissioner.
So since we're 24 positions short and 15 guys injured on duty and 8 guys retiring, I don't have the staff. I'm just throwing overtime after overtime to keep the TAC units in service right now. So until we're back to full strength at the beginning of the next fiscal year, we've dropped the minimum to 43 to try to save 4 overtimes a day.
Right.
And other than that, there's nothing else I can do other than closing down the engine company.
We're not,
And we're not gonna do that.
and we would never do that.
Yeah, and nobody's suggesting that, of course.
So I can't stop it when somebody is pulling down a ceiling and their shoulder blows out, or they slip on the ice at an emergency scene and they blow their knee.
I can totally relate.
It's all injury driven.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. You know, the TAC team is close to my heart, Mr. Mayor. I can vouch for them. They do an excellent work. It's really an asset. You know, I have some ideas. I've spoken to the commissioner offline before. I think that, first of all, I think that they need to be full EMTs for a couple of reasons. One of them is because they'd be able to at least give some medications, particularly aspirin. But that, I guess, a conversation for later, but I'm putting that on the record because I think even though it will be a little bit of financial cost, it will be good for the residents in the city of Springfield. And, you know, the commissioner talked about IODs, and again, you know, you could get hurt whichever way, particularly when you're working on the streets. And these guys, Mr. Mayor and the TAC team, they work pretty darn hard. And I'm a little concerned with the abuse that they're getting in terms of like day in, day out, constantly. If I myself, as an EMS professional, show up to, we call it a call, and in a particular neighborhood, if I show up 6 times to the neighborhood and the TAC team is with me 4 times, they're a busy day because they're responding not only to me, but they also have all the guys they respond to. So these guys are constantly out. And so, Commissioner, you are the commissioner, not me, of course. But I would love to see what plan you're going to develop to keep this OT down. It's a chunk number, and I know that it's easier said than done, Commissioner. I get it, and particularly for the guys as well, because I can vouch myself. The fire department, it's a good department. They work hard, and I'm just a little concerned with the TAC team that we're not working them to death. And I also fully believe, we'll talk to you more offline about this, Mr. Mayor, later on, Mr. Mayor, that we could be providing better services for the residents of Springfield. So with that being said, Commissioner, I think you have a fairly decent plan here. I'm gonna look a little closer. But those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate it.
So to respond to that, there's no really way to control overtime when it's injury based. So 15 people, right now, 15 people short and 8 people in the retirement pipeline is 23 people. That's 4 people per shift. So.
And this is why we met,
Yeah.
and we asked for another academy, and we're getting so many, because that's what we're gonna try to do. We're trying to keep up now. And that's the reason why now we have 20, is because we've addressed that.
Yeah.
We know it's happening. So we're trying to catch up to it.
So there's no way to kill overtime. It's all injury based.
Plus you have military service.
And
too.
plus I have military people.
Yeah.
So the city council voted to go and adopt the Heroes Act. So that automatically doubled my lost time for anybody who's in the National Guard or Army
Right.
Air Force Reserve.
Right.
So now that's an additional 17 days that we have to cover
Right.
shortages of overtime.
Right. Well, the Heroes Act is something it's duly deserved, and I think, and I agree with you that probably the injuries are a high number. But like you said yourself, Commissioner, there is also the military, which you brought up before a couple of times already,
Yeah.
and the sickness, which you also brought up. So it's a myriad of things of the overtime. And again, I know it's easier said than done, but specifically, I'm concerned with the TAC team, because it's always the same guys in and out, in and out. I don't know what criteria is used for the guys to be on the team. If you let me finish, Commissioner, thank you. And so I'm just putting it out there, what my concerns are, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I am a little concerned with the guys in the TAC team, because I'm concerned they're no workhorses. But again, I will give you the last word, but it's something that I would love to speak to both of you, Commissioner and the Mayor, offline, because I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that they need better treatment, compensation, and I think we're a little bit, not by intention, but we could do better in terms of the services, in my opinion, that we could be provided. So those are my last words, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I gotta tell you, nobody fights harder for the department, Commissioner Calvi, whether it's equipment, apparatus, his, the man and woman power, and, he came across the strategy of TAC unit, and I know his goal is, as mine is, to get the TAC unit back and going, but he's been hit with a perfect storm of the injuries, military service, academy graduation rates, which a trend has started across the area, so. But we understand that they do a good job, and last thing I'll say is when we talk about hands-on, Mr. Cavity being hands-on, I will tell the story of the Bright Nights Ball at MGM.
Yes,
and in tuxedo, commanding the fire apparatus on next corner State and Main Street, when they had that fire up the chute there. I know Billy and I out there tux, but he was commanding, I mean, literally commanding the scene there, so service comes first before we thanked all our generous benefactors for the bright nights for the residents on it, so. Are there any other questions or comments, Mr. Calvi?
Is the tuxedo gonna be the new uniform?
No, it's a big cleaning bill to get the smoke smell out of it.
So if there's no others for fire, thank you, Commissioner Calvi. The last is we're gonna bring up the 911, the central dispatch, which again, I commend. For years, we talked about combining the dispatch, having in one area, and we've done that, and Mr. Calvi has taken that on with his deputy, Rebecca Casio also. And we appreciate that. So the 911 centralized dispatch.
So the Emergency Communications Division, a few of the highlights that we've got there is we answered under over 400,000 calls for service at the 911 answering point last year. We are the second busiest PSAP in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The phone is ringing up there nonstop. On a busy Friday or Saturday night, there's barely a second between phone calls as it's just continually ringing up there. And the staff up there does a tremendous job taking all calls and answering, garnering the information for both the fire and police responders, and talking to the public as a first point of contact with emergency services in the city of Springfield. SEC is staffed by 55 full-time employees. 45 of those are public safety dispatchers. We have 4 operations supervisors and 6 administrative personnel. This budget includes funding for all contracted software. There's about 8 different software packages and suites that we have to operate for the center to work efficiently. It maintains the maintenance for the backup battery system, maintains training for all the dispatchers, contractually obligated uniform and clothing requirements, and training, out-of-city training and travel to attend seminars and meetings where the command staff up there keeps up to date on current trends and dispatch across the Commonwealth and across the nation. It also maintains the outreach funding. The dispatchers do a lot of community outreach and recruiting to keep people interested in the profession and do recruit for when we have vacancies. The one ask for SEC this year, it's the same one as last year, to have the 5th operations supervisor, so we can maintain round-the-clock supervision. And the 3% cut for other than OTPS, we took out of the maintenance of equipment.
And I have to say, having centralized dispatch was a goal for many, many years that was looked to be pursued, and we're able to accomplish it. But when you look at it, we want, on the police side, we wanted to make sure we had every available officer on the street. Same thing with fire. So now you civilianize it. When I say that, the academy is pretty rigorous, the training they go through, and the stress they have to do. And I have the radio in the car and on my desk, how they're able to calm people down and get the information necessary for police and firefighters and AMR to respond is amazing. And some people need to know that. Because some say, why do you have to ask all these questions? Because they have to get that. Victor, as a with your EMS, and you need to get the specific questions answered so they can get the proper quick response, but, so 400,000, we're second in the state.
Yeah.
Questions, Kathy?
Yeah, we're asking every department that has any grant funded positions, given what's going on at
Yeah,
the
we
federal
got it.
level. I know that you have, so you'll see the increase in their salaries, but then there is an offset for the, state 911
Development
support
grant.
grant.
That's
So-
the state, though.
Right, it's a state, but I'd still like to
We
confirm.
We have to.
You still you still think you'll get it for 26?
Yes.
Okay. We haven't taken out all that money because I do have to check with each department if they've heard
Yeah.
from the state or federal agencies about what's going on.
So, the
So-
filing deadline is gonna be coming up again for that shortly. And, we fully anticipate getting the development grant again, and that does offset quite a large chunk of our operations up there.
And CFO, Bono was correct to do that, even though it's a state, again, if the state faces potential of a $16 billion loss, the federal grants are gonna have to take it, offset, cut the nut down from somewhere. So we need to know that we're already tracking, the 55 million that we get from the feds, and the schools have already tracked the 75 million if those were off the board. So we have to be cognizant of that.
That was your estimate about 1.1 million, would you say?
Mhm. The good thing about that grant is it's paid for through the 9/11 trust fund, which comes from the phone companies and the tax on phone service.
Yeah.
So that's a lot, that's where most of that grant comes out of.
Anything else?
No, that's, I mean, we talked.
Yeah, no, we have, we're asking every department and cabinet head about grants. And again, when you looked at it, we've come up with, if grants were knocked off the board, you know, you take about 99 positions.
It's just, I think, and I'm worried about those, it's the services to the residents that are gonna be it's devastating.
Yeah, so, but, you know, we want to get the worst case scenarios, so we could, be prepared if, you know, if we have to, tackle it from there. Kathy, anything?
No,
Billy? Councilors Allen, Finance Chair Allen, Councilors
I
Davila?
stepped out for a minute, so we did collectors and I stepped out, or is that,
we did fire.
we did do, oh, so I was here when fire.
Yeah,
And then we did dispatch.
Dispatch,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did dispatch.
I
No,
have
I'm
a
all
quick
set
question.
now.
You go ahead, Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kathy, just following with the mayor's thinking here. If for whatever reason, God forbid, the grant is wiped out and we cannot offset it, we're gonna be okay transferring the money? There will be no
If
issues?
that grant is wiped out,
Well,
we have to take a look at that. I mean, the dispatch center is extremely important.
Public
It's public
safety.
safety, so
We have.
it
Well,
would have
that's
to be a
certainly-
hit to the budget, yes.
But we have to look,
That would, whereas
Some-
other
But-
departments that have personnel that run
Yeah.
programs,
Uh,
if we don't have the program money, we don't need, so it's not a good situation.
Absolutely.
But in
Just
this
doing my-
situation, we would have to make up the difference. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no doubt about it. That's why I wanted to
Yeah.
know.
I'm
Yeah.
just doing my due diligence. I learned not to take anything for granted.
Yep.
Doing my due diligence. And so, now Commissioner, so 55, 45 dispatchers, how many positions are open on those, if any?
So we've got an academy of 7 that we're gonna be putting through in the next month or so. We're just starting the hiring process for them. So
We have 9 open positions, 7 that we're about to fill in the next couple of weeks, leaving 2, and then we're expecting to unfortunately lose 2 to the fire academy. So we have potential for 4 open positions in the beginning of the next fiscal year.
So
that was from Ms. Ocasio, Rebecca Ocasio, company. She does a great job.
We
So-
probably do another.
So once July comes, we'll do another mini academy and try to hire another, we'll overhire at that point again too. And hire
Yeah.
6, and then with lost
How long
stopgaps.
is that commission, the academy, by the way? And they,
4 to 6 weeks in the classroom, 6 to 10 weeks on the job.
On the job training.
Yeah, okay. And this reflects the contractual agreement that we just approved with them, the contract for the dispatchers?
Yes,
It does, okay. Okay, good job. The dispatch is a critical component, and so good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Villa. I can see if there's no other questions, if Mr. Callaway, if there's no other comments, that concludes our second day of budget hearings. I appreciate, thank you, Focus Springfield. Thank you for the people that that attended. Thank you for those online viewing it. Thank you to the media, 22 News, the Republican Jeanette DeForge, Adam Frenier of New England Public Media. And I appreciate the city councilors' involvement. Again, this is where really the meat and potatoes, the nuts and bolts go, and how it affects services we render. And unfortunately, if we have to make cuts, what will be the effect on services? And that's key to me for continuing to provide for our residents and our business community. We will continue our budget hearings tomorrow. We have a morning, early afternoon session. And then we will conclude, unless there's a change in my schedule, which you never know what comes up in the city, knock on wood, Friday, and that would be a mid to late afternoon budget hearing, and then hopefully we'll conclude at that point in time. Kathy Bono, CFO Bono, and the whole financial team will put the budget together. We'll review it for whatever adjustments we have to make. Then we will announce at that point in time to the public what the budget buys, and then we will subsequently, we will turn it over to the city council to do their due diligence with their hearings at that point in time. And then we'll move forward on a final budget presentation to the council, kind of hope for agreement on the budget, working together and moving forward to get an FY26 budget done. Our goal again is to try to balance this budget as we've done for 10 consecutive years without the use of reserves. So we were spending what we were taking in, is unheard of in an urban environment. But we'll see what's what. I appreciate department and cabinet heads. They've come in. I said, I want to maintain momentum and keep services going. I've also asked for 3% cut, which they have all done. Seeing that the federal level continues to change, not only daily, but seems to be changing hourly. And again, we want, as this school brothers did last night, we want stability and continuity and predictability, so you can, move forward. So we'll move forward at that. But I thank everybody involved, and go out and have a great evening, and we will see you all tomorrow. Good health and God bless. Thank you very much.
Good day.